Hi, my name is Tash, and I will be taking you through your Surya Namaskar, or your Sun Salutations. So over the next 4 weeks, we're going to be breaking down some of the movements involved, and we'll gently, slowly work on building them bit by bit so that we can create a nice and gentle flow. Placing the palms in the center of your chest, roll the shoulders back, nice and tall spine. Take a moment here to prepare. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. On that next inhale, we open up the chest, send the hips forward. And on that exhale, we slowly come down into your forward fold. Inhale, take your right foot, take a nice wide step back. Right knee and toes come down to the mat. Tucking the toes in, hold your breath as you come into your plank. Shifting your weight forward, exhale with chaturanga halfway down, untuck the toes. Inhale into your upward facing dog. Exhale, come back into your downward dog. Inhale, lift that right leg all the way up into your three-legged dog. Place that foot in between the hands, lower the left knee and toes down to the mat. Tuck the toes in. Exhale as we come back into that forward fold, dropping that head down. Inhale, we circle the arms as wide as we can, gathering all that energy. Exhale, bring the hands back into the center. Inhale, opening up the chest, send the hips forward. And as we exhale, coming all the way down into your forward fold. Inhale, left leg takes a wide step back, left knee and toes down to the mat. Tuck the toes in, hold your breath as you come into your plank. Shifting your weight forward, chaturanga. Exhale, inhale into your upward dog. Exhale, we come back into your Adho Mukha Shavasana, your downward dog. Inhale, lift that left leg all the way up. Bend the knee, place it in between the hands. Right knee and toes come down to the mat. Tuck the toes in. Exhale, coming back into your forward fold, dropping that head down. Inhale, gathering all that energy, all that light. Place the palms together. Exhale, back into the center. Okay, so we are going to start with our downward dog, or our Adho Mukha Shavasana. So for week 1, if you've never done a downward dog before, this is how we're going to start. You're going to find a wall, making sure we've got a nice little space between. And then from here, I'm going to ask Tom to slowly place his hands onto that wall. Lovely. Keeping those legs nice and straight. Just soften those knees, not locked in position. Nice and soft. Slowly start to press through those shoulders. Extend that spine nice and long. Press that head down. So we should start to feel a stretch down the backs of the legs, and then down the armpit, down the lats here on the side. So this is week 1, so going down, and then just slowly releasing when you need to. Coming back down. So just going between these two motions, just getting comfortable, really stretching out those hamstrings before we go into our full downward dog. Okay, so now we are on week 2. Yay! So we're going to start to progress this movement a little bit more. Tom's going to start in the same position that we had for week 1. So placing those hands onto the wall, and then slowly coming back down nice and low. Now, if you're still working on this, you can just continue this. If you're ready for that progression, we're going to slowly start to bend those elbows, coming into our prayer sign. So bringing those fingers together. Lovely. Now either together, or you can place those palms onto the wall for a little bit more support. So we get a nice little triangle. And again, working towards lifting and then pressing down. So getting that nice stretch down those lats. And again, still working on those hamstrings. Now here, as he flattens his back, you can see he really gets that nice long spine, really sending the hips as far out as possible. This will really help next week when we start to take this from the wall onto the floor. Okay, so now we are on week 3. We've gone away from the wall. We're now on the mat. Tommy is in a lovely tabletop position, which means his shoulders are on top of the wrists, hips are in line with the knees. From here, he's going to tuck those toes in. He's going to press all his weight into the palms and into those toes, and slowly start to lift the hips up, tucking that chin in, keeping a soft bend in those knees. Now from here, just to get comfortable, he's going to bend his knees, bringing the hips all the way down to the heels. So bend those knees, lovely. And then slowly extending back up. Again, keeping those soft knees. We don't want to fully extend them just yet. Keeping it nice and slow, all the way down. And then slowly coming back up. So again, we're getting that nice stretch down those lats, down the armpit, and then still getting that stretch in the hamstrings. Now this time he's going to stay here, and you might want to pedal the feet. So pressing one heel into the floor and the other one lifts up. So just pedaling between these two, just to give those hamstrings a little bit of release. Okay, so now we are on week 4. Yay! So from here, again, we're starting in that tabletop position. Again, tucking those toes under. When he's ready, Tommy's gonna press through those hands, press through those toes, lifting up into that downward dog, tucking that chin in. Good, now you can see he's got a little bit more of a straighter leg than he did last week because he's been working on it. You know, we've been progressing that hamstring stretch. So from here, we're really thinking about lifting the pelvis up to the ceiling. Beautiful, he's got a nice long spine. Now from here, it's a lot of work on the hamstring. So from here, you can also just tread those feet again like we did last time. Tread one heel into the floor, bending one knee, gives a little bit of release for those hamstrings. So if you're up for the challenge, you can always try your three-legged downward dog. So from here, lifting one leg up slowly, just as high as you feel comfortable with. Hold it here for a second, pressing that chest towards the thighs, and then slowly lowering that leg back down. Lovely. And if you need to take a bend or something just to release in the middle, go ahead. Otherwise, we lift the other leg all the way up. Lovely. And then we lower down. So you can do this a few more times, coming back in and just relaxing when you need to. But this is essentially your downward dog. So now we are getting ready for our chaturanga, which can be really challenging for beginners. So we've got a few ways to modify that and get you ready for it. So in our plank position, our kumbhakasana, from here, let's lower those knees down to the ground. Let's untuck those toes. Lovely. Now, from here, we're coming chest to the ground. We're going knees, chin, and chest, keeping the hips slightly lifted off the floor. Lovely. And then from here, we're pushing through the chest, lifting up, dropping those hips down into your cobra, your bhujangasana. Lovely. Shoulders away from the ears. And from here, let's slowly lift those hips up slightly and then push back into a child's pose. So resting those hips all the way down on those heels, dropping that chin, dropping those arms all the way down, and take a moment here. So one more time, you can just flow between these movements. It's a great way to get ready for that chaturanga. When you're ready, coming into that tabletop position, dropping those knees, chin, and chest all the way to the ground, bending those arms. Lowering those hips, we push all the way up nice and slowly into our bhujangasana, our cobra, ears away from those shoulders. And then from here, slowly lift those hips slightly. We send the hips all the way back into your child's pose. So again, it's almost like a wave with the spine. You go between these motions back and forth, however many times you need to get ready. Okay, so now we are on week 2. We're gonna progress that a little bit further. We're gonna add an upward facing dog today. So when you're ready, we start how we did last week. We lower the knees, chin, and chest all the way to the floor, nice and controlled, lovely. Lowering those hips down, we push all the way up back into your bhujangasana, your cobra. Lovely. Now staying in this position, I want you to really focus on the core engagement of all your abdominal muscles. We slowly press into the palms, press into the top of the feet. We lift the hips up slightly, and then we lower it down. So making sure we have nice, a lot of space here, lifting that chin up, lifting that head up, lovely. From there, we lift up slightly with those hips, pushing up and lower down. So we're working on the strength of the quads, we're working on strength of all those abdominal muscles that we have. Good. So that is your upward facing dog. Very nice. You can rest when you need to. Okay, now we are on week 3. We're going to start to progress that even more. This time we're coming into that full plank or kumbhakasana. Now from here with the chaturanga, we always start by shifting our weight forward beyond our fingertips. So for now, we're just shifting our weight forward and back. Just getting comfortable with this motion a few more times. In the plank, we again want to think about engaging the core muscles, sucking that belly button all the way to the spine so that we don't get that arch in the back. So lift up a little bit higher. Yes, lovely, just there. Now this time we shift our way forward. I want you to bend your arms as much as you can. Good, lovely. And when you can't go any further, we slowly drop all the way down to the ground. Untuck those toes. We slowly press back up into your cobra. Lovely. And you can just lower yourself back down here and then just rest, shake it out if you need to, and then slowly come back into that child's pose, and then we start again. Okay, so now we are on week 4, the final week. We're gonna try a full chaturanga. So again, we're in that kumbhakasana, our plank position. Again, making sure we've sucked that belly button all the way to the spine, engaging that back. Yes, lovely. From here, we slowly shift that way forward. We bend those arms halfway down. From here, we untuck those toes. We come straight up into that upward facing dog, which means our thighs and our hips are off the mat. And then from here, we can lower down just to rest. Lovely. And everyone, you can just lower your chest all the way to the ground. So practicing that a few times, you can eventually go from your upward facing dog straight up into that downward dog as well. But we'll get there. Okay, so we are week 1 of getting ready for that sun salutation. Today we're working on our equestrian pose, or it's known as a Ashwasanchalanasana. So from here, let's take those hands onto those blocks. We want those blocks on the highest level, just for a little bit more support. From here, let's take one foot, bending the knee, place the foot in between those blocks. Lovely. Now from here, Tommy's got really flexible hip flexors. So you can see he's getting nice and deep into that lunge. If we don't, that hip would lift a little bit higher up. There, beautiful. Now from here, we're rolling those shoulders back, nice and tall spine, thinking that there's a beam of light in the center of your chest going forward rather than down to the floor. From here, we just slowly shift our weight slightly back and forward. So we're just rocking gently back and forward. A little bit more if we can. Yes, lovely, back and forth. Once we get comfortable, we can start to make that sway a little bit bigger. So swaying a little bit more back and forward. Good, lovely. And even more once we get comfortable. A few more here, just getting ready and getting that hamstring nice and stretched out. One more. And when you're ready, let's bring that leg back down, swapping legs, other side. Beautiful. Bring that foot in between those blocks. And again, we just shift the weight forward and back, slowly working on that front hamstring. So even further back, send it all the way back. Yes, lovely. And then forward. Yes. So we're now starting to feel that nice stretch in the hip flexor as well as that opposing hamstring as well. Okay, so now we're on week 2. So let's start to advance that position a little bit more. So again, bring those hands to the top of those blocks. And then let's take one foot in between those blocks. Lovely. So we're back in that equestrian pose. Now from here, let's work on that hamstring flexibility a little bit more. So slowly sending those hips back. Let's extend that front leg. Toes come all the way up to the ceiling. Now lovely, we want to roll those shoulders back, nice and tall spine. Think about that beam of light in the center of your chest going forward rather than going down. And when you're ready, we shift those hips forward again. So just slowly in your own time, we inhale, send that leg back, lovely. And then on that exhale, we slowly bring that hips forward. It's going in between these two motions, really helps mobilize the hips, but also works that hamstring. We're treating that hamstring like an elastic band. So we're stretching it and then we're releasing it. We're stretching and releasing rather than just holding a stretch for a longer period of time, which isn't always super beneficial. All right, so now we are on week 3. Now you can see that we've lowered those blocks. They were standing upright this time. Now we've lowered them down a little bit just to get a little bit deeper into that stretch. It's gonna be the same motion pattern as we did last week as well. So when you're ready, let's take those hands onto the blocks. Take one foot forward in between those blocks. Lovely. Now you'll feel already here that you're getting a little bit deeper. Now we still want to roll those shoulders back, nice and tall spine, feeling that line all the way through the top of the head. That beam of light is still going forward. Lovely. And from here, again, we slowly shift the hips back, extending that front leg, toes come up to the ceiling, and shifting your way forward. Lovely. Now, if this is too much, go back and lift those blocks back up. If you're, however, feeling really confident here and this is feeling really good on the hamstring, you can remove those blocks entirely. So moving them to either side, placing your hands on the mat instead. So from here, again, we're nice and deep in that position. We slowly send those hips back, extending that front leg, toes up to the ceiling, and pushing back. And that's week 3 done.
Yeah.
All right, so now we are on week 4. So let's start to adding forward fold into that equestrian pose. So starting nice and tall from the spine, let's start with a spinal roll. Tuck that chin in, slowly curving the shoulders over, let the heads get heavy, soften the knees. We roll down through the spine, taking our time to get all the way down to the floor. Lovely. I always recommend doing 2 or 3 of these in the morning to start your day. When we're at the bottom, bend those knees as much as you need to. Plant those hands into the mat. Let's take that left leg, step it all the way back. Beautiful. Lower that knee down, untuck the toes. Roll those shoulders back, nice and tall spine. When you're ready, tuck that toe back in. Pushing off from that foot back into that forward fold, dropping that head all the way down. Lovely. Let's do the other side. From here, we step back with that right leg. Lower the knee down, untuck the toes. Take a moment here, again, elongating that spine. Feel that piece of string traveling through all the way to the top of the head. Tuck those toes in, pushing all the way back into that forward fold, dropping that head down, and then we slowly start to restack the spine. So low, nice and slow from the bottom, stacking each vertebrae on top of the other. Lovely, coming all the way back up. So when you get back to the top, you can go through this motion a few more times, and this will get you ready for your full sun salutation.